Yo, what up? PlatyBara here, and I've been getting a lot of questions about SAI. Like, people are either asking what I'm using or asking me how to do certain stuff, so I might as well just make a whole tutorial about it because I thought it'd be easier for everyone, and not to mention, most other tutorials are kind of outdated and it's not really what the artists use anymore. So I think this would be really helpful. Now, before we go into like coloring and layers and everything, I'm gonna go over the simplest things, like the stabilizer here, and stuff up here mainly, and also some stuff over there. So, yeah, let's get started. So first thing you need to know is the stabilizer tool. The stabilizer tool has stuff from 0 to 15, as well as special settings as S-1 and S-7. These pretty much is a stabilizer for your pen. For example, 0 is all jittery and stuff like that, while 15 is really smooth and very free. Now, this stuff right here, it really depends if you want to use stuff between 1 and 14. That's entirely up to you. Personally, I like to stick to 15 and, around that, and also S3. With S1, it's a bit more stern, as you can see, like it's not as free. And then with S7, it's very laggy, very smooth. This actually comes in handy whenever you're doing, complicated stuff such as hair or anything else. And to kind of help you see the difference in it, let's write in it. So this is how 0 is. As you can see, it's very jittery and everything. This isn't my hand or the pen. This is just how the stabilizer works for me. It could be different for other people. But then you have 15, where it's very smooth and very free, so you can just easily just draw anything you like. It's entirely up to you. A lot of people use this for sketching or pretty much throughout the sketching stages. However, I mostly use this also for line art, but again, that's just me. Here is S1. It is a bit more free, but at the end, once you let go of the pen a bit off the tablet, you can see gets very sharp right here. So that's something to keep in mind whenever you're drawing. And then for S7, as you can see, it's a lot more restraint, and I don't really have a lot of freedom. This is mainly good, or just the S's in general, if you want to do line art in a very smooth, non-sketchy way. So I'm not telling you which stabilizer to use, but it's a good idea to keep these in mind whenever you're creating. So yes. And another question I got is, how come whenever I do the line art, it's very smooth and not pixelated? The problem is that your canvas may be too small, so whenever you're zooming in really close on a small canvas and you draw like this, it does look pixelated. So I recommend making your canvas a bit bigger. Personally, I like to keep it as US paper size whenever I'm drawing, or just various shapes. Just go by inches whenever you're doing dimensions for your canvas instead of pixels. That makes everything easier and less complicated for you. So now we're going over here. Oh, sorry, I hit my mic. I'll just cut that out. Okay, so now we're going over here, and this is, the color wheel and everything. Now, if you download SAI or you work with a different station, this could be over here or vice versa. This is just how I have my layout. So if you have this a different way, it's just, you're not doing anything wrong. That's just how you have it set up. And if you do want to change it, you can go to Window and you'll find the settings here, like Show Layer Panel on the right, and it does that. But I like to keep it on the left. So of course, here is your color wheel. As you know, you have all kinds of colors. You got green, you got blue, you got purple, you got middle school or pink. You have everything. So obviously, and then you have the RGB thing. So if you want to do certain hues or anything, and you have the certain color values, but you're not sure how to get it, say you only have RGB values on the site, you can just slide that around and stuff like that. Here we have the hue, saturation, and value. So this changes the saturation of the color. So if you slide over here, it makes it gray. But as you slide it over to the right a bit more, it makes it way more saturated. And the value, so like the brightness of it. And here it's just a hue, or they can just change the color wheel. If the color wheel is not for you, you might use this as a secondary thing. Here, it's just gray tones and everything. So if you're doing a comic or something that's black and white, this is what you would use. this is where you save color. So say I make a really nice baby blue and I want to keep it. So I would just go over here, right click and set. So now it's there for me to use whenever I want. Here it's kind of the same thing. For example, say that you're drawing a character multiple times and you can't really get the right color palettes over and over. You just save colors over here and then you just do the little selection right here for the eyedropper tool or right clicking on your tablet pen or mouse and you would have it again. So here is where all these panels are. Now here is, we'll go over the selection tool and everything while we're doing coloring. So right here is your pins and stuff. It depends on which site you download or your brush settings. These are the settings I always use. I really can't give out all of these settings at once. So if you want me to do screen caps of what I use, then go ahead, feel free to ask. Actually, this right here is the same pin settings that Tool uses, you know, that one YouTube channel. So they use that to draw their cartoons and stuff like that. So without further ado, let's get on to coloring. Okay, so for this tutorial, I decided to use Sakura. Since a lot of people were giving me, you know, comments about how they don't like her, I think she'd be perfect, absolutely perfect for this tutorial. So I already got the liner done for Sakura since the sketching process isn't really that important. You know, I just use stabilizer and my brush tool. So I think I just went straight to line art so I could talk more about color refs, using references in SAI, and as well as the various selection tools and everything. So you already have your color references laid out. So you get the pink, got the skin color, eye color, everything. So say that you're ready to color the skin. There are different ways you can do it. So you right click to get the eyedropper tool to color it. You can either color it in like this, or you can do what I do and use a selection tool. Over here you'll see detection mode, which is either transparency, strict, transparency, fuzzy, or color difference. Transparency is a more crisp and clear way of it. And not to mention, don't make a mistake I did and use working layer. You can use selection source, which is what you set up this layer to do. So you click on this button, and you know it's working whenever this layer turns into a light green color. So whenever I do selection source, it only selects this layer. And so whenever I unselect it and I do that, it selects the entire thing. So be sure you do that. For all image, it selects everything in the image, including other layers. So if that's how you want to do it, go ahead. But if you're working on a specific layer, use working layer. So let's make this our selection source. And let's do transparency, and then, oops, you see right here how this is selected, but we're trying to color the skin? Well, you can easily just either use the select pen and color that little part in and do that, or you can just, you know, easily just redo the line art and just add a little thing in there. There we go. And you can just, you know, do that for the rest of the coloring. And yeah, so let's go ahead and finish it up. Okay, so we have most of the coloring done, and I thought now would be a good time, before I color the rest of it, to go over some things about layers. So as you can see, we already have layers set up here. You can organize it however you want to. I really don't organize layers unless I'm drawing multiple characters. But here's your folder button, and you can just click and drag layers that you want into that. And you know, there is, you know, stuff like this, the transfer down layer. So this will probably help if I use the line art layer for this. So if you press this, it transfers the line art to this certain layer, so whenever I hide it, it hides everything on that layer, including the line art. So as you can see, it, you know, it just does its thing. Here is the merge down layer. It takes something from this layer and just kind of merges it down. So it combines two layers. So this one keeps all the layers, and this one combines two different layers. So there is a difference between the two. So now you have your layers and you have your base color set, or at least most of them. So now you want to start getting into shading. So what you do is you make a new layer and click this button, clipping group. Let's get her shade color. Say you want to shade underneath her bangs. So you know you're going at it, you're having fun, but then you see as it goes off the canvas and it's everywhere. So what you want to do is click on this, and it only sticks to this layer. So it'd be a lot easier to just to color in with the clipping tool. Personally, I don't see why artists don't use it, but hey, that's just them. And whenever you're done shading and you already, have everything all blended, let's blend some stuff in. You're like, this doesn't seem like a right color. Instead of going back and redoing everything, sorry, my phone went off. You can just go back and do multiply, and you can, change the opacity of it. Personally, I like to do multiply and do it around like the 50s or 60s. Or you can do screen, which makes it lighter. Overlay, which makes it a very, very light version of your base color. Luminosity, which makes it all nice and glowy. So if you're drawing glow sticks or something neonish, this is a good effect to use. Luminosity and shade. This will come out better if you do other colors. So let's try red. See how that looks? And it's all like glowing and everything. Doesn't really work well with white, but you get what I mean. And binary color. It's just shading with binary. So as you can see, it's only printer colors, as I like to call them. So let's go back to multiply and do that. Now, I'm not showing you how to color. I'm just showing you ways of different layers. How you color skin and everything else is entirely up to you. This is just how you can recognize the layers easily. Now, I won't be going over texture and effect because that is kind of advanced. So I usually just, ignore that entirely unless I need to use it. So now let's say that you got the hair color wrong. Well, 1 second. Now let's say you got the hair color wrong. So you can go up to filter right here, and you can just easily change the hue of the layer. So let's just change it back and use saturation and luminosity. There we go. And it's relatively back to normal. So you don't have to, worry about control and click on the layer to select it. You don't have to worry about that. You can easily just change the hue, but if you want to, go ahead. Now, with another important thing that I like to share about the selection tool that a lot of people forget is the color difference part. So with color difference, if I select something, as you can see, it's missing out the edges. You can see, let's try a darker color. You can see that edges are missing, and whenever you shade it, it's going to look like a big mess. And instead of going back and just recoloring it, I recommend you just do the transparency strict. Ignore the transparency fuzzy. That's just a mess. Just do transparency strict, and you won't have that problem. And it looks a lot more clean and crisp and everything, and I think you get a bigger result with that. So now let's talk about the Linework tool. This is where you get your vectors from. Your line tool. You have your curve tool. You can make pretty curves. You even have your pressure layer. This right here is also for mouse users. So if you use a mouse and paint tool SAI, you may want to listen up. Say that you're drawing something and you don't really like how there is no pressure look, but you really can't accomplish that with the mouse. With the pressure tool, what you can do is this. You can do an end where there is a dot here, and you can make it bigger or smaller, just click and dragging your mouse. So you can kind of give that pressure effect and make it a bit more, cleaner looking. So if you're using a mouse, now you don't have an excuse to not put forth effort inside. You can do this easily with the mouse, 100% with the mouse. I mean, even though I'm using my tablet, I'm literally just clicking and dragging the pen. So this is really, really easy to use. And, select and deselect pins are the exact same in here, except they're vectors. So Linework is just vector layers. You don't have to use this. I rarely use this unless I am doing furniture or backgrounds. So if you want to do that part in Photoshop, go right ahead. So, again, these are all the pins. If you want me to do a tutorial on brush and pen settings, let me know. So this is the first SAI tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to do more if you guys want to know more. And yeah. So if you have any questions about Paint Tool SAI, let me know. I won't be able to reply to all comments, but I will keep those in mind whenever doing a new tutorial. So if there's anything you want me to talk about in specific, let me know. If you want to do any drawing tutorials of a certain thing, let me know. Watch my other speed paints if you want to watch me draw and work in Paint Tool SAI. I don't care. Actually, I do care. I hope you like my stuff, and I hope you have a great day. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, as like I said it before. And yeah, stay swaggy.